We have a guest speaker today who is also a former Pueblo student. And not only is he a former student, but he's also an author. And Sam has written 2 books, and he's working on his 3rd, and he has more to come. So we're going to have Sam talk with us about the whole writing process and how he goes through, how he gets ideas, how he writes. And so I'm going to let Sam take over, and he will be talking to all of you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So like Kathy said, I am Sam Reynolds. I went to Pueblo 6 years ago, and I'm here to talk to you about my books. So I am 17. I went to Pueblo during my 2010-2011 school year. I was the original Spirit Dogs team, as you can see by my shirt. I had Miss Siminek, my English teacher, Miss Pate, who was my science teacher, who retired, Miss Lagerquist for history, who is still here, and Miss Alva was my math teacher. She is now in Oregon. I'm now at a charter school in Mesa called Heritage Academy. It's in the middle of downtown. It's right by the Art Center. I am a junior there, and I'll be graduating in 2017, which is next year. So how my books began. It was the summer before my 6th grade year, and it was one of those days where you're at your friend's house, you're in the pool, you're eating barbecue chips, and something just comes to you. And I had a thought like, I should write a book. So I did. I had always loved dinosaurs since I was a little kid in 2nd grade, and I decided to incorporate some ideas from dinosaur movies like Jurassic Park in some of my novels. So my beginning writing process. Writing 2 books at the same time and how it doesn't always work. When I was conceiving the series, I had 4 books planned. And I said, maybe I should work on the 1st and the 3rd one at the same time. Well, that didn't work. I was more focused on the 3rd book rather than the 1st one, and I was balancing continuity and characters and everything else, and that was too hard. So I ended up having to trash much of what I had written of that book. However, when I was a 6th grader, Pueblo had this thing called the Pueblo Writing Club, or Pueblo Publishing, where basically they would encourage students to write creative writing, books, short stories, anything along those lines. And then they would publish it on this really nice paper, which feels really soft. I only wrote a little bit of this book, but it's nice to have this as a keepsake, and it's very interesting. Now, my concept for actual writing philosophy is a terrible philosophy. Basically, one of my main problems was I would focus on how the characters looked rather than what they did in the actual story. So I would spend hours just drawing the characters over and over with different hairstyles or different weapons, and instead of actually putting them in the story and making them do stuff. So if I had a first bit of advice for you guys, it would be, if you're writing a story, focus on the story rather than focusing on the appearance of the characters, because all that can be in here, but it'll come much later. Now, publishing. Some of you may know Lizzie Stewart. She was here the year after I was here, and she introduced me to this thing called NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. Basically, it's a competition where they encourage youth to write a book in 30 days with at least 30,000 words. And she published her own book in November of 2013, and I bought it, and it was a really interesting read. I really liked it. And then I decided to do the same thing in November of the next year, and I set my word goal, I beat it, and I won the competition. And I had the opportunity to publish with Amazon's company called CreateSpace. And how CreateSpace works is NaNoWriMo would give you a code. You would use that code to make an account with CreateSpace. And to set up your novel, you would upload the file, whether it be a document or a PDF. You would make your cover with the cover creator software, which I did for both books. You would give it to them for approval. They would give it back to you within 24 hours, and it'd be on Amazon within the next few days. So it was really neat. completed projects. I have 3 versions of the first book on the table for a reason. This is the first version of Dino Hunters Part 1. It came out on December 11th of 2014. The title is a little bit different than the text is a little bit different than the other books. I'll explain why. And I was too focused on getting the book out in a timely manner rather than going back and saying, oh, there's a lot of errors in here. So I didn't want this to be the final product, so I made another version. I made version 2. I changed the font to make it look a little bit nicer, and I fixed some of the errors, and then I went through and said, oh, there's even more errors that I didn't fix. So I took a black pen and edited this like it was an English paper, and it took a long time. And after about 9 days or so of working and getting it reapproved, I came to this final 3rd version, which is the one that is now on Amazon, and it is a lot better than the original, and I'm glad that I took the time to actually make this much better than it first was. Now, if you've been following the story so far, I started writing these books in 2010, and I didn't get the first one published till 2014, so it took me 4 years to write the first book. The second book, Part 2, Armageddon, took 4 months. So I cut the time drastically, and I wrote twice as much in this book. And now that I had a better knowledge of writing and could write a lot better than I could before, I was able to make this book much better without a second version. So now I'm going to read the summaries of both books for you guys as a little treat, and then I'm going to show you something quite special afterwards. So this is for Part 1. Harrison Lumina was just an ordinary teenager living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He and his 7 friends would soon experience the greatest tragedy of their time, because they would be the ones to save mankind from total annihilation. What seemed as a night at the prom turned to a gory disaster, and what seemed as normal was all thrown away. The city was destroyed, and a man was claimed responsible. He did what no one thought it was possible. He bred species that were lost to the ravages of time. He reanimated prehistoric dinosaurs for one purpose: to wreak havoc. Will their group, known as the Hunters, complete the task ahead, or come short and seal humankind's extinction? Will the villain be brought to justice, or bring the planet to its knees? Will the government try to sabotage the mission, rather than aid our heroes? Discover in this thrilling novel full of intense action, romance, mysteries around every corner, and a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat begging for more. The truth, the real story, is unveiled in the beginning of this deadly journey. Dino Hunters Part 1. So that's summary for Part 1, and on to Part 2. Left in ruins with a member dead and the ships obliterated, the Hunters' only objective left is to survive. The island of Torontico is a place of many secrets, and the group discovers these secrets as they try to uncover the mysteries of the island. Oliver Jensen still poses a grave threat to society and the world, greater than ever before. Will they be able to cave the dinosaur threat in time? Or will they be forced to take extreme measures and change their objective entirely in order to save the world? Harrison and those who remain will be put to the ultimate test that will either unite them together or sever them permanently. Dive into the highly anticipated sequel to Dino Hunters Part 1 and follow the Hunters through the next phase of their perilous, life-threatening journey into Dino Hunters Part 2 Armageddon. So now, I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek at my upcoming projects. Coming sometime soon this spring will be my next novel called Deadlock. Now, it's not going to be called Dino Hunters Part 3 for various reasons. If you read Part 2, you'll know exactly why. My original plan for Deadlock was to have it out this last December to honor the 1-year anniversary of Part 1 being published. But sadly, my life got in the way and that didn't happen. So, I'm planning the next few months to get this book released so I can work on the last book, get that done, and the series can be completed. This is going to be the background image for the cover of the book. It has 5 birds on the fence, and it actually has some symbols. And I'm going to read you guys the Deadlock summary. Although the Hunters managed to escape the clutches of Oliver Jensen on Torontico, he still remains a grave threat. Thought to be dead, there is nothing left to stop him from unleashing the final phase of his ultimate plan, making humanity pay the price. Finding themselves on the run, will the team be able to end Jensen's plans before they come to fruition? Or, when faced with the bounty on their heads, will Harrison's actions risk the future of humanity? Just over a year after the first in the series was released, the next chapter of the long-lost secret series has arrived. Join Harrison and the team as they once again have to fight their way to survive through this epic yet grim journey. Prepare, as all hope seems lost and all hell breaks loose in Deadlock. So my plans for the future as an author. Now that we have 2 books in the series done, I've got 2 more to go. Deadlock is going to be this spring, hopefully by March, and the last book, Annihilation, will be later in 2016, either in August or probably later in the fall. I also have plans to visit more schools. I've been thrilled with all the feedback I've received today doing author visits. I will be back in 2 weeks to visit with the other 7th graders and 8th graders. I've been over to Paloma. I've been with the 5th graders. They were really receptive. They were really happy to see me. And I hope that using the creative talent that I have as a writer and an author, that I can show the world what I am truly capable of doing, and that I want things that I make to be the best they can be, and I do that through my storytelling, my dialogue, and my characters. So now we have some time left, time for a Q&A, so ask your questions away, and I will answer.
Do you think of making a sequel, maybe?
Like an additional sequel?
Yeah.
I had a plan when I was conceiving the series to make kind of like a spin-off, but have it deal with dragons. And I incorporated that idea not only into the start of the first book, but also I took that entire arc and put it into Deadlock, the upcoming novel. So half of that novel is going to be this other team dealing with the dragons in one dimension, while the other team deals with trying not to be killed in the real world. What's your name?
Tyler.
Tyler? Okay.
And how did you figure out, how did you come up with the idea of where the characters lived?
Where they lived? I based it in Minneapolis because my best friend who helped me create the series, he goes to Minnesota every summer for vacation. And I was like, well, Minnesota seems like a nice place, so I decided to put it in Minnesota. Can I tell your name?
Joshua.
Joshua?
Oh, I think I just kind of come back at you.
Yeah.
And are you planning to create like a different series?
A different series? For the moment, I'm really focused on getting this one done, and whenever I try to think of, oh, maybe I could write another series, I'm just focused on this one. This is the only thing that comes to my head. And once this one is done and I've written every single last word out, maybe I might start another series, but I'm not sure yet.
Michael, is this book in this library? Is the book in here?
It will be in about a week or so. We are getting a few copies to get into this library.
All right.
Mrs. Lamo, what are your plans for after high school?
After high school, I will be serving a church service mission for 2 years, and then I will hopefully be going to the BYU program. Can I tell me your name?
Noah.
Noah?
Are you kind of big so far, or no?
Big? Like big as in popular?
Yeah.
No, but no one ever is when they start
Yeah.
out. But I'm hoping that by doing this and kind of reaching out to find connections I have, I can be. And if that could lead to more books and more series and maybe even a movie.
I wish you so much.
At what age did you like think of starting the story? And also, how did you come to mind of what your like main characters look like and what their like interactions were?
Well, when I started writing the story, I was 11. And the characters, I based the main character off of myself, and the other characters I based off of friends that I had in 6th grade. And when they realized, when I told them last year that this had been published and this was the thing, they freaked out and they were so happy that like they were in the thing. And like other characters that I have introduced are based off of people that I know. Any other questions?
Does the main character have a pet?
Does he have a pet? No, he does not have a pet. I should give him a pet.
What are all these drawings on the table?
Those drawings on the table are many of my concept art for a lot of the characters that I've gathered over the years of me changing things and like, oh, maybe they could look like this. So it's like, if you guys, after we're all done, if you want to come up and like look at stuff, you can.
Is it a picture book?
No, it's not. It is a novel. There is no pictures to be seen.
You're like talking about the art and everything, so I was like, is it a picture book or?
It was more focusing on the art that was in my head, because I needed to put it somewhere, so I put it on many pieces of paper.
Do you want to share with them where they might be able to find your books or have access?
Have access? Well, your teachers, I have given them a little slip of paper right here, which gives you the details of how to find the book on Amazon, and if you guys want to check them out, you most certainly can. I'd say stay away from the review section. It's pretty nasty. Yeah, that's basically. Also, with expanded distribution that I have, they're also putting the books elsewhere. It's like it's on BarnesandNoble.com, and it's in other bookstores. And I'm trying to get it to actually get into the real stores, so that people can actually have more access to them.
Can you tell us, or tell the students, what you do when you get writer's block?
When I get writer's block, it does happen a lot. What I don't normally do when I get writer's block is I already have music in my ears to begin with, so if I'm writing at night, I'll go to bed. If I'm just writing during the day, I'll probably step away, maybe just watch some Netflix for a while until I can not focus on it anymore. I feel like when I don't focus on it, then something to move the plot along will come into my head. I'm like, okay, now I know exactly where to make this go. So if you have writer's block, stop focusing on it for a little while, and then come back to it when you have new ideas, because they are going to come for some reason.
I have a question. I don't know if anyone else would follow this, but what is writer's block?
It's basically when, it's not like you put a block on your head and you can't write anymore, but it's basically when you've come to a point in your writing and you don't know where to go with it anymore. You're just like, you're stuck.
Oh.
And until you overcome this stumbling block, or say you're stuck, then you can't go anywhere.
Okay.
It happens to everybody. It sucks. Any other questions?
Okay, well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I think they might be interested. Maybe a few kids can come around and look at that as you're getting ready.
If you guys want to take a slip too.
I can show those to you Monday if you're interested. If you have extras.
I have a bunch of extras up here. If you guys want to come up, you can look at art, you can touch the books, do whatever you want.
So if you want to kind of just do that, and then we're going to get ready to take our test, okay?
Mixed way.
Hi, my name's Funny.
I'm gonna freak you. I'm gonna freak you. Absolutely.
Oh, that's me. I have glasses. I have a striped shirt. You do have glasses. I got yeah, my belt is so I don't wear belts. And I don't even wear pants like that. I wear shorts. That's totally me, man.
It doesn't even have any.
Whatever. Whatever. I'm gonna read this. That is. All right.
I didn't know you were circle.
Whoa, Joe.
Yeah, like
Really?
it looks awesome.
Yeah, he was recording. No, it wasn't. It is right now. Hey, Mom. Oh my God, it's recording.
I found this guy.
Hi. Oh my God. Did you write it first?
This was just like when I would go on road trips. I'm like, I can write some.
Bye. I'm gonna take a test now.
All right, I don't know. Yeah, Mom, I found this guy. I literally have 40 bucks sitting on my bed.
Choose the camera. Natalie, go from the camera. It's recording.
I know what I'm saying.
Is it actually? Hey, girl. I don't know.
I wish you good luck.
It's called designing.
By the way, Amazon don't spend rate. I've seen Max.
Yeah. Like Amazon, you can just put my books there. Just let them sit there.
I don't understand why they haven't they've had many complaints about it. Why don't they just put it out there?
People have their own opinion.
Yep.
Final one done. See you back in 2 weeks. Peace.